Hi boys and girls, welcome to the other side of my kitchen. Today we're not reading a story, we're going to do a little flower science experiment because as much as I love reading, I also really love flowers and science, even though I know nothing about science. So don't ask me why what happens, just ask your science teacher. Okay, so today we're going to make a spring drink, a very refreshing drink. Some of you probably know how to make homemade lemonade. This is just like homemade lemonade, only we're gonna add in this little flower, violets. These are spring flower that you can see growing up everywhere, yards, sidewalks. So what you're gonna need for this little experiment is you're gonna need a little handful of violets. You're going to take the stems off the violets, so that you just have the purple petals, because we only want the purple petals. Then you're also going to need lemons, 2 lemons preferably, but if you only have 1, that's okay too. And then some sugar or honey. Either sugar or honey will be used to sweeten the juice afterwards. And then obviously you need water. And you're going to heat up the water. And what we're going to do is you're going to put the violets into a bowl that can stand heat. And you either microwave the water or you heat it like you would heat tea. So I'm heating mine like I would tea. Like I said, you take the violet flowers off the stem so that mostly you just have the purple part. You see that? You just have the purple leaves. And violets are edible, and they're a very safe herb. They're very gentle, very good for children, for kids. But make sure that you do this with a parent so that you pick the right flowers, because there's a lot of flowers blooming now. We're well into spring, and you want to make sure you get the right violets. You can do it with the white violets too, the ones that are white with like little purple lines in them, and you can also do it with Johnny Jump Ups, but for the best effect, best color effect, get it with like true violets, which are called violets because of the color, obviously. Alright, so I hope this is hot enough. Do you think it's hot enough? It's not quite boiling yet, but we're going to say that it's hot enough. And so you're going to take the violets, come see, and you're going to put them in a bowl or something where you can pour the water. And you're going to pour the water over the violets. This is called an infusion, where you put the violets in a hot liquid, and then the water, when you make tea, the tea, whatever properties are in the leaves get absorbed into the water. And this is where the cool thing happens. So you're going to see, well, I want you to observe and tell me what you see happening. It takes a little bit, so I think we're going to pause the video and we'll come back when it's closer to happening. But you're just going to let this sit for a few minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then we'll come back to it. Okay. Okay, so it's hard to tell because of the camera, but it is changing color a little bit. It's only been about 2 minutes, so I just wanted to show you that it does require patience. Maybe you could read while this is happening. Maybe you could chat with the adults who are helping you about what you're most excited for about spring, other than the flowers blooming. Right, but if you notice, the water is definitely taking on the color of the violets. So we'll pause it again and we'll come back. Okay, now you can definitely see that it's changing. I think you can see it on the camera too. And if you compare it next to this clear glass of water, it's very obviously turning a little bit blue. And I just want to say a note about picking violets. Even though many people think of them as a weed and we see them everywhere, it's important that when you go out to your yard or to your sidewalk or wherever and you pick them, first of all, you should rinse them and wash them because you don't know who's been there or what's been there. And also don't pick all of them, because if you pick all of them, then there won't be any for the next person, and there also won't be any next year. So we want to make sure that we only pick a little bit. You only need like a little handful to make what we're making. So leave some behind. Okay. That is to say, you can pick some from here, some from over there. So some of these came from my front yard, some of them came from in front of the bushes at the neighbor's house. Be careful if you're picking them at the neighbor's house. Maybe ask for permission from afar. Make sure your parents are okay with it. Don't just go running into other people's yards. Some of these are from my mom's yard. So a little bit from everywhere, and then you can get enough to make what we're making. All right, boys and girls, students, friends, families, this has only been about 10 minutes. And as you can see, we've got about this much color. And you could, if you wanted to, you could leave it overnight. I want to leave it for as long as possible so that the violets have pretty much lost all their color in the petals and all the color and properties from the plant go into the water. So we're going to leave it for about 10 more minutes. Like I said, this has been 10 minutes now. And you do want to make sure that the water is, if you're making it on the stove, is like boiling or almost boiling. And then the process happens. All right, boys and girls, so one thing that's really important before you leave it to sit, you have to cover it. I totally forgot to cover it. So you have to cover it. And also, this one that I'm doing today is taking a lot longer than it normally does and then when I did it the other day, because a lot of these violets were in the fridge, which means that they were cold. So when you put the hot water on them, it's going to obviously take a lot longer to do its magic. So you want to use fresh violets if you can, ideally, and you want to cover it while it's sitting. And then it should only have to sit for 20 to 30 minutes. This one has been sitting for like an hour, but like I said, they were in the fridge, and yeah. Alright, so then what you're going to do is, after you've got a nice color, so this one is not as blue as it could be, but I'll put some pictures of the one that I did the other day that was a lot more blue. And depending on how much how many minerals are in your water, so this is Pawtucket water, so it's got like quite a lot, I guess. Right, because we drink like filtered water. It will be more on the green side or the blue side. So this one, if we let it sit a little bit longer, it would get like teal, which is my favorite color. But I'll put a picture of that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make the lemonade part of it. And this is where the real magic happens, okay? So we're going to take the lemons and we're just going to squeeze them, old-fashioned, no juicer, just our hands, and we're just going to squeeze them into the water. And now watch what happens because of the acid in the lemons. Can you see what's happening? Can you see it in the video? It's going to be really hard to tell because this is so faint, but I think you should be able to see the color of the liquid changing from blue to, what color do we see, boys and girls? It's like pinky. I'm gonna go in close. It looks a lot more pink IRL than it does in the video. But so basically what you want to do is, once that awesome magic happens, and when you see it happen for the first time yourself, you'll be like, oh, it'll be really fantastic. And now it smells like lemonade. It smells really good. So you want to squeeze 2 whole lemons. Or as lemony as you want it. I guess you could just do 1 if you wanted to. And then you're going to add a little bit of sugar or a little bit of honey to your mixture to sweeten it. I'm going to do a little honey today. Last time I did sugar, this time we'll do honey. So you just put a little bit, like less than a spoon. I'm a librarian, so I don't measure anything because I'm not a scientist. If I was a scientist, if your science teacher was doing this experiment, they'd probably tell you to measure things, but I just do everything by eye. So put a little bit of honey. The liquid's not really warm anymore. Actually, it's kind of warm, so it's going to take a while for the honey to dissolve, but that'll sweeten it up. And I'm going to leave it with the violets overnight, and probably in the fridge after I let it sit for a little bit longer. So I'm going to let it sit outside covered for a little longer, and then I'm going to leave it overnight in the fridge, and I'm going to strain the violets out tomorrow. But just to give you an idea, you can either... Where's my strainer? You can either, if you have a strainer like this, like maybe your parents have for a tea or something, oh my god, you can either scoop out the violets like this, and just put them somewhere else. Or you can pour the tea through the strainer to strain it. If you don't have a strainer, you can use like some sort of tissue or a dishcloth, a fine dishcloth, like a cheesecloth. But also if you want to eat the violets, you can totally eat the violets. It might be kind of weird to have a drink with violet. It's like drinking orange, just the pulp, I guess, actually. So yeah, that's this fun, I hope it's fun, science experiment that you can do with flowers from your own backyard. Okay, thanks guys. Maybe I'll read a story about flowers to go along with it. Bye.